Hey, everybody. It is season 9. Welcome to the Wine Crush podcast. This is kind of a little surreal moment because this is the 9th time that we have started this whole kind of crazy little process here. And we are still in downtown McMinnville in our cute little living room here on 3rd Street, still talking about wine, still meeting crazy, amazing, interesting, creative people. Did I say creative twice? I might have said creative twice, but you guys are all very, very creative. So yeah, it's fair to say it twice. Okay, here we are. Jonathan with Wild Child Wine, you are first out of the gate this year, and you are well deserving to be first because I bumped you not once, but twice last year.
Well, it happens. Life happens.
I'm going to blame it on John, the audio guy. I'm pretty sure it was his fault, not my fault. And it was actually his fault the one time, but I'm not sure about the second. It could have just been a scheduling conflict.
Life is what's going on while you make other plans, is what John Lennon says, right? So
that sounds very poetic.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah.
So we met over a year ago, I think.
Yes.
Maybe not quite a year ago, out where you're making wine.
Yes.
And we're truly going to have to start from the beginning because I don't remember a whole lot what we talked about.
Yeah, well,
and I don't even think we can blame it on drinking wine.
No,
because we were not drinking wine.
Life moves quickly and slowly at the same time. It's one of those like weird things. So let's see, where do we start? I guess
we start from the beginning.
From the beginning.
Yeah, my question always is:
there was a big bang.
There was a big
Flash.
bang, so they say. Depends on who you talk to. Of
Dinosaurs.
Course, right? Yep.
Go forward. Meteorite.
And there we are.
Go forward. Now
yep.
We're here. Yeah.
I love it.
So let's see. I got into wine, I guess, back in college.
Was wine part of family, like growing up?
I mean,
and where did you grow up?
I grew up in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
As much as you won't hear it, maybe you'll hear a little bit of it in the voice, the accent, every now and then it comes out. But I grew up in Houston, Texas. Originally born in Colorado, grew up in Houston, Texas. Wine was part of like ritualistic like meals. We would have it, or the family would have it for dinner, but it wasn't anything special. It was just your grocery store Chardonnay, Cabernet.
Something that had a pretty label that got thrown in the grocery cart, brought home.
Yeah, for the most part, the family was a Scotch family, in all honesty. And that
everybody has their flavor.
Everybody has their, yeah, for sure. And I ended up waiting tables and really got into wine for several reasons. Number one, I like the ritualistic and the history and the tradition and the sense of place. And number two, which might be number one, money. As you wait tables, if you can upsell wine, you can upsell your tip, right?
Sure.
So there's a little bit of that too, as life always is.
And where was college? Was that still in Texas or was that?
No, I went to college in Ohio. So originally wine was not the pursuit. Wine was a hobby. And so I went to school up in northern Ohio at the College of Worcester.
I hear there's a lot of wine or at least vineyards in Ohio.
Ohio was the largest sparkling production pre-prohibition in the world, if I remember correctly.
So insane to me because Ohio's in the middle of nowhere.
It is.
And that's no offense, Ohioans. Is that right?
Ohioans?
It's not, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that really a word?
I think that's right.
Okay. I just made that up.
That's right, yeah.
Ohioites?
I mean, Ohio plays... I was a history major in college. Before we start going down rabbit holes, I was a history major in college. And again, I love the history of wine and alcohol and the United States and what have you. So, but wildly enough, Ohio plays a major, major role in alcohol through George Ramus. I don't know if you know George Ramus. He was the greatest bootlegger of all time.
That sounds like a whole new podcast.
It's an amazing story if you've never gone down that rabbit hole. He was a son of immigrant who owned a bunch of pharmacies. He became a federal defense attorney in Chicago. I'll try to keep this as short as I can. And while defending people who were getting popped for drinking, they didn't have much clothes. They were basically bums in certain ways, but would pay with rolls of hundreds. And he thought, I'm missing out on an economic opportunity. So he moved to where all the major distilleries were, which was Cincinnati. And he bought distilleries, bonded to make medicinal booze, and his parents were in pharmacies. So then he bought the pharmacies, and then he bought the distribution. So he was the maker, the distributor, and the salesperson, all under federal license during Prohibition.
That's genius.
Well, then he had another layer. He had his own gangsters rob himself. So then he took the insurance money, and then he would take the money. He would take the booze that he robbed from himself, and then he would bootleg it because he had all his connections in Chicago. He made so much money that he had about like 200 people on payroll, up into even a advisor to the President of the United States, who eventually got caught. The guy committed suicide. Ramus was kind of left out into the rain. His wife had an affair with the Prohibition officer. He was eventually put to prison. She took all of his money. He got out of prison, ended up finding his wife, killing her at point blank in public, and then turned himself in. Remember, he was a federal defense attorney. He's the first person who got off on temporary insanity in the United States.
That's like a whole miniseries.
Yeah,
that's
matter of
a
fact,
movie.
It is a movie. It is a movie. He was in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and told his whole story to this writer, and the writer actually wrote a book roughly on his life called The Great Gatsby.
Oh, hey, I know that one.
Yep. Yeah.
How intriguing.
It's about as short as I can get that
Yeah,
story.
no, that was actually really pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ohio is a
major
Ohio needs
place
to be given a whole lot more credit for booze and wine
for booze, especially in America.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
For sure. Yeah. So went to school in Ohio, went and studied abroad. I wanted to study abroad in Cuba because I wanted to see someplace in transition. And at the time, I was told there's no way you're going to go to Cuba because it was right after 9/11. Now I'm dating myself, but there you go. And, the world was in an uncertain place at the time. So I ended up in Eastern Europe, in Czech Republic. And while in Czech Republic, I was going to go into politics and law as a history major. And so we had a independent project we could do. So I decided, since I was going to law and politics, I would do something that I was passionate about. So I decided to study wine pre, during, and post-communist rule. So I did a whole independent study on wine pre, during, and post-communist rule, specifically looking at the fields of Tokai and Czech Republic and Slovakia. And it was fascinating. It was amazing. And it turns out one of my roommates' family had fields that they grew, in the Tokai region. Came back to the United States, worked in some politics and law stuff, and decided that I just didn't want to do that. So I just bought a book on how to get into the best law schools. Chapter 1, why do you want to go to law school? And the first thing said, if you want to help people, you don't need a law degree. Do you want to make money? You're not going to make money in law necessarily. You're only going to do this if you're really, really into the law, because for the same amount of money, you could study in Latin America for a year learning Spanish. You could study a year in the Fletcher School of Economics, or the Fletcher School for Poli-Sci, the London School of Economics for a year, do a semester of Northern Italy cooking, and then do bike riding in France. You'd speak 3 to 4 languages, be on 3 different continents, and have 2 master's degrees, and you pay $20,000 less than the top law schools in the United States. And I closed that book, and I returned it, and went, I'm going to travel the world and drink wine now.
That was all in the first chapter of a law book.
First chapter, and why do you want to go to law school? And I didn't even go to chapter 2. Just went, yep, returned it all. Like, great.
And you're off.
Yep. So then I went back to Texas, and anyone that walked into the restaurant that I was working at that had a wine bag or was selling wine, I harassed them. Who are you? Who do you work for? What's this wine? Where's it come from? I just asked a lot of questions and just tried to stay quiet, which is unique for me. As you'll find, I'm very verbose. And then as that kind of continued, I worked my way up into the restaurant scene in Houston, and then became a sommelier, and eventually worked for some of the best restaurants in Houston, and got to a certain level in Houston. Met my current wife, and she has a small little piece of property in Peru that is planted to vine at around 10,000 foot elevation. And we were down there in 2019, and the owner who takes care of that property has 2 kids, and he'd have the kids on his shoulder, and we'd walk down the hill and pick fruit off the trees. And he works every day, but he has a comfortable, good life. Maybe not a rich economic life, but a rich, family life. And we decided we didn't want to do the grind anymore, and we wanted to move somewhere where we could have that. So in 2020, we packed up our bags and moved to Oregon. We had done a bunch of research at different locations, but the short of it, we decided Oregon. And now we have a 1.5-year-old who runs through our garden and picks fruit off the vine, runs through the vineyards. Yeah. So we
that
did
is such
achieved,
a poetic, again, you could be your own mini series. I guess the question is, now that you've been all over the world, why Oregon?
Well, I couldn't go to France. One, my French is not very good. Two, France loves when you visit them, and they love when you go home. But I spent a lot of time in Burgundy. Burgundy holds a dear place, like a lot of people in Willamette Valley. That's kind of the inspiration for a lot of people who grow Pinot Noir and Chardonnay and work with Pinot Noir and Chardonnay is Burgundy. And you'll hear that a lot, So while in Burgundy, one of the great mentors and dear friends who has left, she hosted a blind tasting and the best Pinots in Burgundy. And she actually snuck in a wine from Oregon, and it got second place.
Oh.
And that wine was Irie. And that kind of kicked off the inspiration for a lot of Burgundians to start looking in Willamette Valley as the next location. So it was one of those, I've always had a passion, again, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, right? Those really are kind of the drives more than anything else. California was a little too warm. We could look at climate data and we could see that it wasn't going to be viable within a lifetime. After a while, we could go there short term, but after a long term, as we can see even today, we looked at the gorge. We looked at Walla Walla. A smart person coming from Texas, I probably should have gone maybe to Walla Walla and grown Cabernet, because that's Texans love Cabernet Sauvignon. I probably would have done better in maybe some sales, but that's not what you're passionate about. And if you're going to do it every day, and you're really not going to come away with like super millionaire, then you better do something that you're really passionate about, right? So Willamette Valley was already held a place in my heart, and I really love the Pacific Northwest. So it was kind of a no-brainer to some degree, right? Like it in the grand scheme of the world, the best Pinot Noirs, you have Burgundy, you have Willamette Valley, maybe the Central Otago, Russian River, different stylistically. You could push the Mornington and the Geelong kind of in Australia. You might get away with some places in, say, Santa Barbara, again, different stylistically, but there's not too many regions that are known for Pinot Noir that also have the cost of living and the access that we have, right? We're very, very, very lucky here. As much as people have issues with Portland, I think Portland's a fantastic city. I think it's still one of the most economically viable cities to live in, even though the taxes can be crazy, of the entire West Coast, right? Like San Diego, Seattle, San Francisco, Portland's still one of the more affordable cities of the list of West Coast. And if you look at other places that have Pinot Noir, you live in Burgundy, you're quite some distance from a major metropolitan area. So we looked at climate, we looked at passion, we looked at cities. My wife is in management consulting, so she also needed to be near an airport. That's also part of that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that access to the airport, from McMinnville here, it's not super easy.
Yeah.
But it's doable.
It's doable.
Yes.
It's coming.
Yeah.
For sure it's coming. McMinnville's for sure it's coming.
even Salem would be lovely if there was, something a little bit more,
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
I digress. So, well, welcome to Oregon. I guess my question is, like, with all the restaurants that you worked at in Houston, was Oregon wine ever part of the lineup down there, that you were exposed down there to it?
Not really. I mean, yes, but not really. It was definitely one of the lower tiers. In Houston, certainly the big dog is Napa.
Makes sense.
I mean, that's the big dog,
Yeah.
right? And then you have France. In Houston specifically, France would be considered, in general, the next one. And I think that's because of the influence of Louisiana. There's a lot of Louisiana culture that influences
Sure.
Houston. 1, LSU, 2, oil, 3, Katrina. There was a lot of Katrina people that moved to Houston, never moved back.
Yep.
Then I would say next would come either Italy would be next, then maybe Spain, and then Oregon. Oregon is definitely an up-and-coming region. Texas just hosted the Houston Livestock and Rodeo, which is
Huge.
huge, just featured Oregon as of this year. So, and they did a big tasting for their Best Bites. That's 6,000 people that they host for the tasting. So Oregon was the featured wine region. So it's definitely
did not
the
know that.
up-and-coming region for Texas in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's interesting because as much as we think Oregon is a big player on the map because it's everywhere in our atmosphere, surrounding us. Down here on 3rd Street, there's 15 wine tasting, little studios and whatever down here on our little, old street down here. It's still such a foreign piece to so many people that are wanting to go to a wine region that maybe aren't like in the know, and they still just instantly drift to Napa because that's been the place to go. And so I think we're still kind of on the outskirts of that bubble, but it's pretty amazing here.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a double-edged sword. I love it for that region, for that reason, and also it's like tough for that reason too, right? Like I love it because there's still so much opportunity here, right? There's still so much opportunity for someone who's small like me, and the other indie winemakers that I get to meet and hang out with. There's so much opportunity for you to really jump in. Oregon's laws are much more hospitable to small winemakers, right? The way that we get our license, even down to how you can grow. It's still very hospitable to small producers, which is great. The double-edged sword is we're still fighting to get our claim and our name on the map, right?
Yep.
You're still trying to explain to people it's not Willamette, it's Willamette, right? Like,
Yeah.
still got to explain that to people,
Yeah.
even in the middle of a 6,000 person tasting as the featured region,
Yeah.
right? The biggest rodeo in the world, right? Like, it's still one of those hard things to do.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I totally agree with you. I mean, as much as I travel, I get asked about it, in certain circles, and I always love the way people come up with their questions and how they're pronouncing things. And I'm like, it's not Oregon, it's Oregon.
Right.
However, I mean, it's just like had an argument with a guy from the Bronx earlier this year, and I'm like, no, it's not Oregon, it's Oregon. So anyhow, yes, Willamette's a whole nother ball game and problem. But I mean, the one thing I do love is like everybody I meet, there's so much room to be creative here. You're not put into a box that you have to do this and you have to do that. There's so much creativity on not only the varietals that you're making, but also the stylistic choices that you're making as well. I mean, even what we're drinking here, totally different than the one that I had last week. It's probably the same grape. It's similar region, but it's a different take on it. And I think it's amazing. I love it that there's not hard rules.
Isn't that the coolest thing about America in a lot of ways, right? Like, we don't need to follow any rules. Matter of fact, the rule breakers are rewarded more than the rule followers in a lot of ways, right? Like, part of the whole idea of the wild child is like, I literally can do whatever the hell I want because it's wild child, right?
Yeah.
Like, so sometimes I even have to tell myself to like, get out of this rut, get out of this like idea that you just have to do something because of something, right?
Yep.
Like, in France, you got to follow. You can't even decide your own pick date in Burgundy, right? There is a consortium that decides the pick date, so everyone picks at the same time together in order for there to not be theft amongst other people, right? That you have to. You're required to have X amount of tonnage per acre, right? Or tonnage per hectare. Right, you have to be restricted in what your blends are. You got to be restricted in your alcohol levels. You got to be restricted in. There's so much more restrictions in these traditional ways, and it's great the tradition that you can take it as inspiration, but like we don't have to do that here. And what's really really cool also about it is that the region Willamette is. It still very much is a world-class region, and we still very much have a lot of acceptance in the world. We're growing, and it's still like, we're maybe not as well known as, say, Napa or Burgundy or Bordeaux, but it's on the map, and yet it's, 50, 60 years old? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, in the world of wine,
It's a baby.
That is a nanosecond, man. There are vines in Burgundy that are older than Willamette Valley.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Like it's crazy. I think there's so much opportunity here. Again, I keep saying that. Even with the economic downturn in the wine industry that we're kind of facing right now, it's ebbs and flows, but I still think there's so much to explore, and I think there's still so many different little micro regions that we don't even yet know that can be cool.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to see constantly what's changing, what's around the next corner, what's new, what people are coming up with, because it makes, as a consumer and someone who even does, like a podcast and like this, I learn something new from whoever I talk to, because they're doing something nuanced. It's a little different, or it just has a different spin on, what everybody else is doing, or a new varietal that they're pulling from a different region. I mean, it really makes wine so interesting on so many different levels. So
yeah, I mean, not everything's going to work, and that's okay.
Yeah,
what is it? Miles Davis says, if you don't make mistakes, you're not doing it right. That's a true statement, right? And jazz and blues, like the whole point is to riff, and it's to play and to kind of see what's going to work, and like. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work, but it works right because it doesn't work. It's one of those cool things. And I think it's kind of inspiring to walk around, right? Like growing up as the sommelier, the wine buyer, the clubhouse guy, right? Like going to wine regions was always very inspiring because you actually get to be with the artist, right? Like, as I would say to people, one of the other reasons why I took the leap is the Louvre, classic, one of the great museums of the world. We all know that the Mona Lisa is in the Louvre, right? We all know who painted the Mona Lisa. We all know where it's at. We've all seen thousands of pictures. Who's the art curator at the Louvre?
No idea.
Exactly. So after a while, being the sommelier, being the wine buyer, being the guy for the billion-dollar retail company, at some point, you're just the curator, right? You're the curator to the people who are the actual creators, the people who are actually putting their passion and life and what have you into it. Nothing wrong with that. I just didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to be the artist now, right? So that's the other reason why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing about life. You get to make
Even
your
if
own
I was,
choices.
even if I'm the artist that's like this big.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I want.
Just makes your heart happy.
Yeah.
Speaking of art, let's talk about Wild Child wine.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration about it? Where did it come from? Because I assumed it was from your child, but I don't think that's that. I think it was inspired before the baby arrived.
Well, if you believe time is linear, yes, it would be very hard. Only because I'd laugh about that. He is 18 months as of this Friday. So we've been Wild Child, actually the first vintage first vintage under my brand would have been 21. So we've been making wine since 21. So that the math doesn't math.
It
right?
doesn't math.
Yeah, it doesn't math.
Girl math, boy math. It just doesn't math.
Just doesn't math.
Yes. And I'm all for good girl math.
Unless your time frame is weird, right?
Yes.
Somehow I saw the future. No, that the Wild Child came from me. Well, okay, my wife calls me the Wild Child because I don't live by a lot of rules. And after I decided to leave it politics and law, it was kind of like, okay, the gloves are off. I'm going to go ahead and live however I want to live. And she's very much more of a corporate, a little bit more of a rule abider. So I kind of push her to get outside of her box, and she pushes me a little bit to be more
in the box.
Maybe that's not fair, but we'll use that analogy. So the Wild Child it's a little bit of that, and it's a little bit insane to just all of a sudden leave your friends, your family, your career, your well-paid career in the middle of a pandemic, cross 3,000 miles and start all over not knowing anyone.
There you go.
Without really knowing what the hell you're doing, right? Like
that's fair too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we just kind of did a trust fall in the middle of chaos.
Well, it's working out okay.
It's working out all right.
Yeah. So when you got up here, did you end up going to school then, or did you just kind of jump head first and figure it out as you went?
I was probably the oldest intern at the place. I immediately went into internship at Lady Hill with Dan Dury, who was the winemaker at the time, and worked the 2020 harvest with him. And then at the end, he actually pulled me aside and said, hey man, you should go back to school for viticultural management. The very least, like the winemaking thing, I think you'll figure it out. There's some things you can do. You've been around wine enough. You have a palate. Not to like knock down what I do, whatever, but I never did the viticultural side. I think you should do the viticulture side. It's very, very important. And I agreed with him. So I went back to school. So I'm back to school to Chemeketa for viticulture management and met some lovely people.
We'll meet that lovely person here in a few minutes. I didn't realize there was a connection between the two of you until
5 years.
Until you both walked in and asked me, if I'd planned this, and I'm like, no, not at all, actually. It just kind of magically fell into place. So with your starting of Wild Child and through your education and schooling and everything, you had mentioned that Pinot and Chardonnay were like your main focus, like your inspirations, things like that. But it looks like you have ventured out.
I dabble. Yeah, there's some Sauvignon Blanc on this table. What we're having is actually a blend of a third of Riesling, a third Chardonnay, and a third of Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay.
One third. And it's 6 months neutral oak. And this is just, I make a Fresh Fest red. So this is the counterpart, the Fresh Fest white, which is, I always wanted a counterpart to that red. And so this kind of came out because I had some extra white and I was playing around with it and 2 years ago and came up with this blend and really, really liked it and was like, all right, like I said, there's no rules. So let's just combine these together because I like it and we'll just bottle it. And it's been doing really well. So
art is in the eye of the beholder. You can do whatever you want. Yeah,
something like that. Sometimes it's sometimes what's really great about being broke is that you're forced to make decisions that, you're going to make those decisions, right? Like limitations can be good for art, right? Because it inspires you to get a little bit more creative. It inspires you to be a little bit, push the boundaries.
Outside the box.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what all are you making then? Because I know you came with a whole backpack.
Oh, I have a whole backpack. There's just I had a bunch of sample wines and stuff, and I keep stuff in my car. I've learned to keep wine in my car at all times since I live in Portland, and I'm driving all the time. It's always good to have some bottles in the back of the car to drop off to people, exchange people, talk about wine.
It's good currency.
It's good currency. Mm-hmm. So I always make a Chardonnay and a Pinot Noir. Every year I make a Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. I will always make at least 2 Pinot Noirs. The Fresh Fest, which is an early released, mostly aged in stainless steel, 6 months, then bottled and released. Designed to be slightly chilled, easy drinking. Remember, coming from Texas, This is the red pool wine.
Pool wine is a great thing.
Pool wine is we drink a lot of pool wine because it's always hot in Texas. So
I just like cocktails by the pool.
Yeah.
I am not one to get schmammered on a regular basis, but in a pool, almost every single time.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get carried away.
And, they'll say don't ever bring glass in the pool, right? I mean, it's your own house. Be careful.
Squeezy bottle.
Yeah, squeezy bottle.
Yeah. Anything with a straw.
So I will always make a Pinot and a Chardonnay. Then on some vintages here and there, I've made Riesling, Gamay, and Sauvignon Blanc. And this year I did make a Pinot Gris that's still in tank that we'll be bottling here in about a month, with any hope.
You're making a lot of whites. So
I do make a lot of whites.
Yeah.
I know this is a trap I got into. In 2023, I made more white than I made red, and it was a little bit of a trap. And I got really excited about making whites.
what's the trap? I think it's delightful.
I think it's just delicious, and I think I got trapped in that. I really like white wines. The deliciousness of white wines. I really like freshness, and I like acid, and I like texture-driven wines, and I don't like a lot of oak. So I try to make wines that are like texturally driven, great acid lift, not a lot of oak, that pair with food. And if you've done all that, it's usually lower alcohol. They're clean wines. They're not like natty necessarily, minimalist, if you will. But the idea is that they're supposed to be approachable and drinkable, right? Like that's the whole idea. And again, a lot of that's the inspiration of that general French Burgundy region. So Chardonnay, Pinot Noir. Okay, Sauvignon Blanc's not technically Chablis. There is some Sauvignon Blanc, Saint Brie. There is Sauvignon Blanc and Burgundy, and there is Pinot Gris, and there is Pinot Blanc and Gamay. So actually, all those varietals are in Burgundy. You have to hunt for them.
Yeah,
you have to know it. There's some
exist.
obscure. They do exist. They're very obscure, and you have to hunt for them. But yes.
I do love the fact that there is so much white wine being made, and it's being embraced, and it's been celebrated, and not just the Chardonnay. Like I know there's the big Chardonnay festival and stuff that Oregon is, has it really embraced and is really, pushing, because Oregon Chardonnay is just, it's different than what most Americans have been used to drinking over the historical previous blah, blah, blah. So I love the fact that Chardonnay is coming back around, and I thought I felt something fall out. Coming back around, and then whites are just this new kind of like resurgence of beautiful things to drink that are easy to drink and enjoyable, and they don't have to be just a porch pounder, during the summer and sugary and sweet. In fact, I had a conversation with a gal that was a sommelier in Las Vegas last week about this. And they're like, "Oh, really? They don't have to be sweet?" And I'm like, "No." Yep. She was told in medical school that the healthy white wine to drink was Yellowtail Shiraz. And I'm like, interesting choice. But, whatever. To each their own.
I've driven by that facility. I would disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyhow,
that is a giant facility.
Yes, it is giant, and I explained that to her. So I'm like, hadn't thought about that as healthy, but whatever. Yeah. Every port in a storm, right? So love the white wine coming forward. So, okay.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of cool stuff. It's really fascinating. Again, traveling from here to Texas and around, selling the wines. We're known for Pinot Noir. If I'm going to Texas, I'm selling Pinot Noir. Chardonnay is definitely second, but Pinot Noir is definitely the number one. If I'm selling in Portland and in the general region, it's the white blend, it's the Sauvignon Blanc, it's the Gamay, right? Like there's a lot of, we get a lot of Pinot Noir. We're okay with Pinot Noir. Mm-hmm. What else do you got? Right? Yeah. So that's kind of fun being in the general region of tasting these new other varietals, but we're definitely known for our Pinot Noir. And so that's something that I have to keep in my back of my mind, that like you always got to make sure that there's enough Pinot Noir, because that's actually what's driving my market, at least in coming from Texas and outside. Right.
Yep. No, totally. Okay. You've been in the food industry. I am obsessed with like food and wine. Like love the pairings, usually love the weird pairings. Like and I'm all for a good snack. So what is your go-to wine with your favorite snack?
Oh, man. Go-to wine with my snacks. Well, I mean, I don't know. Is sushi considered a snack?
It's a snack.
It's a snack.
It can be
Pinot
a
Noir and
snack.
sushi is Pinot Noir and sushi is always amazing, right? Like,
Okay, I have not tried that.
yeah, Pinot Noir and like Burgundy, red Burgundy, and sushi is a stupid pairing. I've always loved that pairing. Let's see. I mean, potato chips and caviar and Sauvignon Blanc or Chablis is always a great pairing too. This would be great with a little caviar and potato chips.
I think that sounds delicious
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. It's amazing how quickly 40 minutes goes by.
Yeah. And I've been trying to keep it brief.
You're doing great. You're doing great. But to end it, we have to know where to find you and where people can come buy these wines from you and visit and taste and all the good things.
Certainly.
Sell
So, because I'm very small, I make my wines inside another facility called Roots with Chris Berg. So the best way is to reach out, wildchildwinery.com. Wine shops mostly in Portland. I would say Dogwood, Orat, Labora, Vino are the top three that I'm in for sure. And then, and Loam, just down the street as well.
In Dayton.
Yeah,
Yep.
in Dayton.
Nice.
Is also as well. And then, of course, we're usually pouring at the Indie Wine Mixer, which is always a fantastic event.
Memorial Day weekend.
And then Thanksgiving. They do two.
Yep, one south and one north.
That's
yep.
right. And he does the one in the south
Yeah,
too.
yep.
Yeah, they do three, I guess. There's a south, two up here, and then one in the south as well.
Okay. Maybe that's Labor Day weekend in south. I don't know. Is that right?
Is it?
Yeah, Labor Day weekend is down south in
Yeah.
Grants Pass, Medford, Talent. I'm not even sure where it's actually held, but somewhere down there by the California border.
Yeah.
Yes. Ashland, maybe? I don't know.
I think it's Talent.
Talent. It's
Yeah.
in Talent. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's always a great one. And then, we're slowly growing. I'm a one-man operation, so it's janitor, winemaker, and distributor. And
So many hats.
I'm only good at one of those, so,
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for finally coming in, and we can get schedules.
You're welcome, absolutely.
Schedules done, and you crossed off the list, and we'll now make you famous.
Yeah, that's right.
I love it. Well, thank you so very much. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna bring in Shay and Vincent with Maypop Wine and learn all about them. And you guys obviously knew each other and know each other.
We do. Yeah.
So I love the dynamic with all of you. So it's time for everybody to go fill their glasses, do whatever they need to do, and we will be right back with the second story.
Perfect.